Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's recap session. My name is Jenny, and I'll be facilitating today's event. And today I'm joined by Maitri from the Technical Design Authority. And just before we get started, I just want to go through some housekeeping with you all. So as always, this event will be recorded and we will be using Slido throughout. So if you have any questions at any point, just pop it in Slido. The QR code and the joining code are on the screen now, and I'll also pop a link in the chat. And yeah, if you have any questions at any point, just pop them into Slido. So just as we're waiting for people to join Slido, I will share the agenda with you all today. And we do have a few bits to get through, so I will hand over to Maitri.
Thank you so much, Jenny. So hi everyone. As Jenny mentioned, my name is Maitri. I'm part of the RTS and one of the rec managers here at Recco. Thank you so much for joining today. So this session is all about giving you a real practical refresher on the energy market data specification, especially the updates that came in after the post-MHHS reconfig. And you might have started using the platform now and noticed anything or noticed some issues, and we can discuss that at the end. So we'll walk through the structure, purpose, and some of the key features of the revised spec with a spotlight on digital rec and the new market messages introduced via the data integration platform. And as Jenny mentioned, this whole session is designed for anyone that missed the previous pre-MHHS session or just wanted to get an update and get up to speed on what's happened. So the first thing that we're going to have a look at is what is the Energy Market Data Specification. It's also known as EMDS, and this defines the market messages and data items used by industry parties to send and receive information. So for each market message, it also outlines permissible arrays of scenario variants, including the source and target roles, and the flow structure that ensures correct arrangement and population of data items within each market message. The EMDS also contains market messages and data items governed under the REC, as well as other code bodies like the ones that you can see on the screen. And finally, the EMDS is available in multiple formats for download and access via the portal. So you can get that in SQL, Backpack for machine readable data, HTML and market message, and data items are available as well from the portal. Next slide, please. That's great, thank you. So what's changed? So the updates to the EMDS and DTC for MHHS have introduced significant changes, and those changes happened on the 22nd of September under version 4.0. All DIP and BSE report messages, along with updates to existing market messages and data items, were included. So these updates were 58 new market messages and 319 data items, alongside 72 updated market messages and 286 data items. Additionally, 22 new market roles have been introduced. So to support these changes, EMDS has implemented structural adjustments to accommodate new MHHS attributes within DIP market messages, data items, and scenario variant events. These updates are available in all relevant formats, including SQL, Backpack, HTML, and dashboard views, as I mentioned before. Importantly, there's been no changes have been made to the existing table structure of the DTC access database format. Thank you. So continuing with the EMDS and DTC for MHHS, let's look at the structural changes introduced in version 4.0. These changes only impact messages sent via the data integration platform, also known as DIP. So if we have a look on the left here, we have updates to market messages and scenario variants. New attributes include DIP delivery pattern, security pattern, dip routing, removal of the target field, and the addition of correlation ID within scenario variants. And on the right, changes to data items include new attributes such as MHHS data classification, MHHS nullable, MHHS data type, and YAML name. These updates ensure that MHHS attributes are properly supported across all relevant formats, as mentioned earlier. So that's the SQL, Backpack, HTML, and Dash views. If we go to the next slide, please. We're just going to have a look here at an example of a market message. This is in the HTML view, formatted for dip. So the way you access and navigate EMDS HTML remains unchanged. However, there is now more details, information included within if and rep messages sent via the dip. So on the screen, you can see an example of the market message MM20059, which is a notification of reverse migration and de-appointment. And some of the key elements that you can see here are the local catalog reference, which defines the relevant if or rep ID. And I guess you can't see me pointing on the screen, but you can see the local catalog reference there. And below that, you can see the version, which relates to the schema version of the message in Swagger. Third, we've got the dip delivery pattern, which specifies whether the message is transactional via dip or uses notify and download as a separate resource. And finally, the security category, which determines the security requirements across 4 categories. These enhancements ensure that MHHS-related attributes and structural changes we discussed earlier are fully integrated into that HTML view, and you still have that same familiar navigation experience when you're on the HTML. Next slide, please. Thank you. So let's look at scenario variants in HTML on this screen, which is formatted for dip messages. Messages sent via the dip are classified as events and use JSON. To avoid changing the existing structure of the scenario variants table, EMDS reflects each event as the name. Additionally, JSON messages now require a correlation ID to be included. On the table here, you can see examples of scenario variants such as reverse migration, notification, and de-appointment. Each variant includes details like source, target, primary, and secondary roles, and whether a correlation ID is created. The dip supports 3 routing mechanisms, always, which ensures if messages are delivered to certain recipients without specific addressing. Secondary, which uses dip routing tables for recognized participants, and primary, which allows the sender to specify the recipient directly. Finally, to note that while the target fields exist in HTML format, additional data will be included for if and rep messages. Routing rules can include multiple party roles, shown as acronyms here, with full names available in the EMDS standard definition document. So just having a look here, we're going to look at the data items in HTML format for dip messages. The example shown is DI 20004, which represents consent granularity effective from date. This includes details such as the item description, logical and physical length, data type, and owner. New MHHS attributes are highlighted here. So we've got data classification, which can be public, restricted, or commercial in confidence. We've got MHHS nullable, which defines whether null values are allowed. Where no state is included, it will inherit the default state of nullable. MHHS data type, which specifies common data types defined in DIP Swagger, and YAML name used in DIP Swagger for configuration purposes. Note that not all data items currently have a YAML name. These attributes align with the structural changes we discussed earlier, ensuring MHHS data is properly supported across all the formats. Next slide, please. So this slide, we're looking at scenario variants and reviewing the new structure for market messages and scenario variants in DIP DN. This structure accounts for routing rules associated with DIP messages, the message list, relevant routing events, and the source of these events, which may include multiple party roles. Once a scenario variant has been selected, the relevant flow structure table appears, which you can see in the screenshot there. This table contains roles appropriate for the routing mechanisms. Multiple party role acronyms may apply, and full names are available in the Energy Market Data Specification standards definition document, which is accessible via the REC portal. So on this slide, we've got the data items in DIP DM format, and this example represents an event code. This includes the local catalog reference, data type, and owner, along with description of its purpose. The table provides details such as a logical and physical length, data types, format rules, and notes. And at the bottom, you can see where this data item is used across market messages, including EES data updates, notification of publication of a downloadable asset, and reverse migration notification. That is just one example. If you please go to the next slide. Thank you. So we've had a few frequently asked questions. So currently, one of the main things is that questions surrounding the if messages. You can't search for if messages directly, and this is on one of our is a backlog for improvements and is something that we're working on. However, there is a workaround for this, so I've just popped a screenshot in there. If you search all if messages identifiers start with the prefix MM2. So if you search by using that prefix in the search bar, you can quickly find your if message for now, as the screenshot highlights. And then the next one, which is on the next slide, is another frequently asked question is around target source and target filters. So you can still use these filters for most messages. However, if and rep messages introduced under MHHS only hold source roles and do not have a defined target, as you can see in the screenshot on the top. This is because routing rules for these messages are managed under EMDS using DIP routing mechanisms, always primary and secondary. As a result, the existing source and target filter does not work in the same way for if messages. There is currently no way to search if messages by target role and routing roles depending on both source and target. This limitation is something we are aware of and will be continuing to review for future improvements to see if we can get around this. But there's currently no way for us to do that at the moment.